So if you're in the battle space of anxiety, depression, these negative thoughts, and you are trying to get in tune with God and you've been praying to him, but they don't go away, does this mean you have some disconnect with God? Or like, why doesn't God take away, what I'm praying about?
So is the question about, so no answers to prayer? Is that the question?
Yeah, so well, does it mean that I'm disconnected for God, or why is God choosing not to answer this?
Well, another type of stronghold is that the Lord can be our stronghold. So we always look at the negative side, and I was trying to find the verse. It's in Nehemiah, and the Hebrew word for it says the joy of the Lord is our, and it's stronghold, but I don't know the actual word that was used there, but it means basically like it's the joy of the Lord that is our stronghold too.
Yeah.
So we can have a negative stronghold in our mind, but we can also have the joy of the Lord.
Amen.
So if we are not enjoying the Lord, and was it David prayed, restore to me the joy of my salvation, right? If we are not enjoying our salvation, if we are not walking in, it is finished. We're constantly saying, I'm not good enough, I'm dumb, like Orlando was saying, I'm not going to measure up, all this kind of stuff. If that's constantly always on our thoughts, we may not be, quote unquote, disconnected from God, but we're definitely not enjoying our salvation, and we're not basking in the joy of the Lord daily.
Yeah.
So we do have to look at that first, I think. And if that's not the case, then, the question becomes, why does it not go away?
Yeah.
Even though I pray about it, even though I ask God over and over, take this from me, what do we do? What's that mean?
Yeah, I think the problem with unanswered prayer is I think it's a point where people will take it and build this weak theology on it. It's like, oh, God works in mysterious ways. He just wanted me to have cancer. It's like that's absurd, right? That's absurd. And I'm not trying to be disrespectful here, but I think most Christians, and particularly American Christians, will sort of repent enough to get into the kingdom, but not delve into this life to experience it. So if you're praying about something and it's the will of God, like, man, press into that, pursue, chase after it. I think the best scriptural teaching about unanswered prayer, I think, is the Mark 9 account where the father had the demon-possessed child.
Yeah.
The disciples tried to get deliverance and they couldn't. And then thankfully the father pressed in, pursued, brought the child to Jesus. And then Jesus asked some questions. He did an interview and probably a little physical exam because he's the best doctor ever. And then cast out that spirit, healed that kid. But the important thing is, number one, when you don't get answers to prayer, is there a reason? Absolutely. Now, prayers, these big sort of nebulous big prayers, in the delayed answer, God prepares you to allow him to answer. For example, let's say you're praying for $1 million. Like, I want $1 million. I want this. I want that. I want a purple Lamborghini.
Put that in the comments if that's your prayer right now.
Yeah, right. God will not bless you into destruction.
Yes,
right?
They're not ready for that.
Yeah.
And faith is incredible. It powers miracles, but faith plus long suffering builds character. And character is this complex structure that allows God to pour blessing into, not spill a drop, give himself glory, and to not destroy you in the process. So I think the majority of prayers that are not answered, the big question is, were you talking to God about something you wanted to talk about?
Yeah.
But also, like, did you press in? And I would encourage you, if this is something that's on your heart, it doesn't matter if it's days or months or even years, to continue to press in, pray and fast. But also, like, if you look at the model in Mark 9, the disciples took Jesus aside and were like, hey, how come we couldn't cast out the demon? And what was his answer? He said, well, this only comes out by prayer and fasting. But at the time, Jesus was neither praying nor fasting. So the answer is that he prayed and fasted into a lifestyle.
Yeah, that's
right?
good.
But at the same time, unanswered prayers allow us to be subject to all sorts of areas of creativity where we try to answer the why questions, and some of it is like really bad theology, really bad one-verse theology. But I would really encourage you with unanswered prayers to press in, take Jesus aside, ask him.
Yeah, and even in that same story you shared in Mark 9, how was it that Jesus said that he would heal him? Like, he was like, if you believe. And what did the dad respond with? He was like, I believe, but help me with my unbelief. That is pressing in.
Yeah.
That is leaning in.
Yeah.
And if God doesn't take it away, I would say so many Americans in American Christianity really are looking for a comfortable life. They don't want to go through hard situations and hard times. They want Jesus to just take them and rescue them from the midst of it. But when that happens, will you ever grow? Like, we have to go through suffering. We have to go through hard times. That increases our faith when we lean in and we press into God. The story that I'm reminded of is Paul, when he prayed 3 times for the thorn to be removed from his side, and God responded, no. Like, my grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in your weakness. And it's because of his weakness now that Paul boasts all the more gladly. Why? So that God gets the glory.
Yep.
And even when one of Jesus's best friends, Lazarus, died, right? He could have made it on time, but why did he allow him to die? Why did he put the family through that suffering of him dying? Well, so that he could raise him from the dead, and who gets the glory? God can be glorified.
The power is really in the presence, seeking his presence in the process. So to the person who asked this question, for example, anxiety, I think is what the person was saying. I've prayed, I've done this, I've done that. Am I disconnected from God? Why won't God take this away from me? I feel like I'm, doing what I'm supposed to do, quote unquote. I would say the power to, even if you still have to walk through anxiety, and the power to be able to have the strength to walk through the anxiety, forever how long you have this anxiety, is by seeking his presence through the process of that. And if it so happens that in this life you never get that taken away, what have you gained? You've gained power in his presence while he's walking you through this.
Yeah.
And I think that's the perseverance working itself out, in the trials. When James says, count it all joy when you fall into these trials, because it gives you perseverance, and you will not lack anything in the end. Yeah. So,
and there's also medical reasons to have anxiety. For example, thyroid disease, which oftentimes goes undiagnosed. If you have a hyperactive, meaning a thyroid gland that activates too much, you can have sort of sweatiness, anxiety, heart palpitations, all sorts of stuff. But I would really challenge this person to press in, check in with the ultimate physician, talk to experts, talk to his or her doctor, and really pursue, and if you're doing sort of the same thing and not getting a different result, change it up.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's good.